markets, the landslide hit a section of National Highway 2, which is a pretty important road that connects Guangdong, Tibet, and other western parts of China. Back in August 2022. The skies over Guangdong opened with a vengeance. What began as relentless rainfall soon turned into an unyielding assault, drowning a province known for its bustling cities and fertile farmlands. Within days, streets that once pulsed with morning traffic were swallowed whole. Buses stalled mid-journey, cars abandoned where engines failed, and bicycles lay half-submerged like forgotten relics. Entire districts, both rural villages and high-rise neighborhoods, became islands in a vast inland sea. In counties where rivers swelled past their banks, water poured into shopping streets and homes with terrifying force. Apartment blocks rose like stranded fortresses, series of flash floors consumed by the murky tide. Families found themselves cut off from the outside world as power lines snapped, communications failed, and the flood turned daily survival into a lonely struggle. In towns such as Jiaoying and Qingwan, roads disappeared under layers of mud and debris. Bulldozers and chainsaws battled the wreckage, slicing new paths through chaos. Villagers, shoulder to shoulder with rescue crews, dragged refrigerators, concerns broken aging sofas, and waterlogged wardrobes into heaps that marked the ruins of their lives. Inside the homes that still stood, devastation whispered from every corner. Brown water lines scarred the walls, climbing waist-high, like silent reminders of nature's cruelty. Plaster buckled. Wooden floors curled upward, warped by days of soaking. Kitchens, once alive with clattering pots and fragrant steam, stood stripped of working stoves and refrigerators. Bedrooms, emptied of mattresses and closets, offered nothing but damp air and the smell of rot. Residents armed themselves with little more than buckets and rags, attempting to salvage dignity from the wreckage of their private spaces. The catastrophe did not spare the fields. Farmland that had sustained generations was drowned beyond recovery. Rice paddies sat underwater long past the point of survival, their fragile stalks rotting in place. Vegetable plots eroded into lifeless mud, their fertile soil swept away in torrents. Irrigation channels' vital arteries, feeding the next harvest, collapsed under the strain, silencing the flow of water farmers depend on. The region's lifeline for food had been gutted, leaving markets across the province scrambling to fill stalls with produce brought in from outside. In Guangzhou, one of China's economic crown jewels, the skies delivered a staggering 3 times the expected seasonal rainfall. The city's drainage systems collapsed under the onslaught. Subway entrances filled like bathtubs. Underpasses became clogged with trash and mud, transforming into stagnant pools that threatened disease as much as despair. City crews waded through the filth, pumping out water, fighting to reopen the vital bus corridors that knit together this metropolis of millions. Transportation, the circulatory system of Guangdong's vast economy, was ravaged. Bridges trembled under the weight of surging rivers. Highways cracked and fractured where landslides poured onto the asphalt. Rural backroads simply vanished, buried in mudslides that cut mountain communities off from food deliveries, medical aid, and hope. The industrial heart of the province faltered as factories closed their doors. Warehouses became tombs of ruined goods. Machines corroded into lifeless hulks, their steel skeletons no match for water's slow but merciless destruction. For Guangdong, a global hub of manufacturing, the economic shockwaves were immediate. Businesses crippled, exports stalled, livelihoods suspended. Relief operations escalated as the scale of the crisis became undeniable. The government raised its alert to the highest level, summoning fleets of pumps, trucks, and excavators into the disaster. Emergency workers labored day and night to carve order from the wreckage, hauling debris, patching ruptured highways, rebuilding critical bridges. More than 1 billion yuan was swiftly allocated to Guangdong and neighboring provinces, earmarked for restoring infrastructure, reviving farms, and stabilizing food supply chains. Markets once rich with color and fragrance now leaned on outside shipments, a stark reminder of how vulnerable a breadbasket becomes when its soil turns to sludge. Mud-covered tunnels. Engineers scoured the Pearl River Basin, inspecting the strained defenses that had held back even greater ruin. Along embankments, sandbags rose into jagged walls. Heavy dredgers cleared silt from choked waterways. Dam walls were tested, reinforced, and in some places deemed beyond repair. Officials pledged long-term investment in drainage networks and flood control projects, promising a future where this scale of disaster might be met with stronger resistance. But promises, however bold, cannot erase the scars. For the people of Guangdong, this flood is etched into memory as one of the most punishing in recent decades. Families mourn homes reduced to damp shells. Farmers grieve fields that once promised plenty but now yield nothing. Factory workers face uncertain futures, their jobs suspended in waterlogged workshops. Across the province, resilience flickers, neighbors sharing tools, strangers offering food, volunteers clearing paths for the elderly. The spirit to rebuild is alive, even when the walls are cracked and the ground is sodden. Recovery will not come quickly. It will demand months, perhaps years, of labor, investment, and faith. The rains may have passed, but the test has only begun. As bulldozers continue their roar and villagers push brooms through mud-caked doorways, Guangdong moves forward, not yet healed, but determined. The flood has left devastation across every layer of life, yet amid the ruin rises a quiet defiance, a promise that this province, battered and bruised, will endure. Floods are like mirrors. They show us both strength and fragility. Guangdong's story reminds us how water can nourish fields, yet also destroy them in days. The resilience of people shines, but so do the cracks in our systems, from weak drainage to fragile supply chains. It's a reminder that progress is never untouchable. Nature always has the last word. And yet, isn't it in these trials that we see who we really are? Families rebuilding, neighbors helping, engineers planning for tomorrow. There's both loss and hope in every corner. Maybe the lesson here is simple. Prepare early, respect the force of water, and never underestimate the power of community. So what do you think? Can stronger systems truly protect us from the next flood, or are we forever playing catch-up? Share your thoughts below, or just leave comment number 1 if you simply want to show support. Thanks for staying with this story. Your voice keeps the conversation alive.